Hi, welcome to BuffZone. I'm Kyle Ringo. This is Ryan Thorburn. We cover the University of Colorado Athletic Department for the Daily Camera newspaper. Ryan, the Buffs had their first scrimmage of fall camp today. What were your impressions?
My impressions were that they're pretty good at throwing the ball, that they have more receivers this year, that Tyler Hansen has a good command of the offense. Tyler made one really bad mistake, an interception for a touchdown by Parker Orms. But other than that, I think throughout the summer and the camp, he's established himself as the starting quarterback of the 2010 Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah, I can't make a case for him not being the starting quarterback at this point, but there's still a lot of time to go before they play Colorado State, and practices, interestingly enough, are going to be mostly closed now. The public can no longer go, and we can only go for the last 15 minutes, so it's going to be a little bit of a guessing game from here on out, and my bet is I'm thinking we probably won't find out who the starting quarterback for Colorado is until they trot out on the field on September 4th against Colorado State for the Buffs' first offensive possession. I kind of feel right now a little bit of deja vu. I kind of feel like I've been here with the Buffs before. I look out on the practice field, I see a lot of bigger bodies, a lot of incoming recruits who definitely look the part and are able to get fans excited through the first 10 practices of fall camp or so, and I think that's totally justifiable. The Buffs do look a lot better in a lot of ways, but I felt this way before and it didn't kind of pan out last year. Do you feel any of that?
I was fooled last year. During camp, I thought both sides of the ball looked pretty good, and there was actually some depth and some athletes on the team. And then we find out during the season that both sides of the ball were just bad, and they made each other look good in practice, I guess. But I really do think there are some NFL caliber players on the team now. Their 85 scholarships are pretty much filled up. I mean, they have a fighting chance with the depth and the experience to win 6 or 7 games. Now, they still have the same coaching staff, so that's the big issue. But I think the personnel is as good as it's been during Hawkins' tenure.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to coaching. I think this season is entirely about coaching. It's there's talent, depth, experience, all those things that have been issues throughout Hawkins' tenure here, and I really feel like it's entirely on the coaching staff to put the players in the right positions, make the smart moves, make the adjustments, and not get out-coached. And if they do that, I think this team should be a bowl team. And I actually predicted on my blog on BuffZone back in December that this team would go to a bowl game at the end of the year. And I think now that I've seen about 10 practices or so of fall camp, I have more reasons to believe that could happen. But at the same time, going back to that deja vu thing and the way I felt about the team last year, I could easily see this team, if things don't go right. This was a mentally fragile team last year. And if things don't go right to start the season, I could see this team ending up, 5-7, 4-8, somewhere along those lines. So to me, the way the team starts the year will be big in terms of how the entire season goes.
If it comes down to coaching, then CU has to be ready to play on September 4th, and they need to beat Colorado State handily or by 3 points. It doesn't matter, but they need to beat Colorado State. Last year, they got out-coached by Steve Fairchild. It wasn't even fair. After the game, Fairchild said, hey, we're not as good as this might indicate, and he was right. The loser of the Rocky Mountain Showdown, to me, seems to have a tough time bouncing back, not just the next week, but for 2 or 3 weeks. Lets that game affect their whole season. And, CU's got to be the team that puts CSU behind the 8 ball and wins the first game.
Yeah, I think Colorado is favored to beat Colorado State in Vegas by, I think, 13 points. Mm-hmm. That's what it was the other day. And I think for good reason. Colorado State's you were up there yesterday talking with the Rams and getting to know them a little bit, and Colorado State is gonna have a freshman quarterback, and it's gonna have nearly an entirely new offensive line. Those 2 factors alone, to me, kind of indicate or have me heavily leaning towards the Buffs winning this game. And, that game's still a long way away. It's still 3 weeks away at this point, and a lot of things can change for both teams. But we're talking about Colorado having or needing really to start the season well, and you know that game looms large, and I think, you know, if they can win that game, then they got to go on the road and deal with the losing streak they have, and they just got to get off to a good start this year.
Well, I think the bottom line is Colorado State's rebuilding. Their head coach admits they're rebuilding. They're going to go with the freshmen. I mean, one thing CU fans should be jealous of is the look of this Pete Thomas recruit Colorado State has landed. He's a 4-star guy, 6'5", 218 pounds. But if he wins the job, he's going to be making his first start. So you got to get him now. Colorado State's rebuilding. The Buffs need to go to Berkeley 1-0 and maybe relax a little bit. Maybe play the underdog. And Cal's a team that seems to underachieve with all their talent. So it's one at a time, but they have to be 1-0 going into Berkeley.
Absolutely. Good news for the Buffs today coming out of the first scrimmage. It doesn't seem like they had any catastrophic season-ending injuries. Of course, that news could change here in the next few hours as players hit the training room and that sort of thing. But it seems like they got out of this one okay, and we'll continue to follow the Buffs through the rest of camp and as we lead up to Colorado State September 4th.